I'd like to call the Town Council meeting of April 7th to order, please, and I'm going to ask our Kid Mayor, Maddie Rhymes, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Maddie?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great job. Sue, will you call the roll, please?
Mayor Lesser,
Here.
Deputy Mayor Forrest,
Here.
Councilor Bailey,
Here.
Councilor Carbone,
here.
Councilor Clancy, Councilor Jurek,
Here.
Councilor Rhodes,
Here.
Councilor Timbrow, Councilor Zambrello.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. I'm excited to see everybody here. In a minute, we're going to have our Kid Mayor presentation, which I'm so excited about. Before that, though, I think it's appropriate to recognize the national champion Yukon women who have done our state proud, and we'll do a little thank you. Weathersfield recognizes the Yukon women as the outstanding national champs. So now as we started last year and continued this year, and I hope for many years, we have a Kid Mayor and Kid Board of Ed Chair program in Wethersfield. And it's really to teach our students, our young people, about democracy. And the students write essays, and I read them all. They're all fabulous. They're all of high quality. But tonight, we are recognizing the #1 essay in Emerson Williams School, and we will be doing different schools and different students the next few meetings. But tonight, it's my pleasure to recognize Maddie Rhymes, who's going to come up here, read her essay, and then we'll take a photo. Please come sit in my seat. I'll stand back here. And let's give Maddie a little round of applause. This is our Kid Mayor from Emerson Williams School.
My name is Maddie Rhymes, and I am a 6th grade student at Emerson Williams Elementary School. I would like to be Kid Mayor of Wethersfield because I would give Wethersfield residents the support they need. I am fair, kind, and most of all trustworthy. These are the traits that I would show as Kid Mayor. You will love me. I'll be fair and treat Wethersfield residents with equality and fairness. Everyone will feel equal to everyone else. Any complaints or concerns that people have, I will try my hardest to listen to and fix them. I will treat everyone with respect and also be understanding and have good communication with residents. I will work hard to make good decisions and gain trust in the community. Residents will be able to trust me to decide budgets, rules, etc. Above all, I will be kind and inspire people to do acts of kindness throughout our town. I was inspired by a Kindness Week event that was held at my school last year. Students were asked to do kind things in our schools, homes, and community, and to ask family and friends to sponsor us. I would create a Kindness Month event in Wethersfield where people could show kindness to one another in big and small ways. One kindness act that I would encourage would be to connect people with seniors who can't leave their homes. People could make a phone call or make a home visit and share time with these seniors in our town. Older people, like my grandfather, who has a hard time leaving his apartment, would love to be remembered by people who live in their town. You could make cupcakes and share an hour with someone who would truly love it. There are so many other ways to be kind. You could hold the door open for someone at the store, pay for the person's coffee behind you at a coffee shop, smile at people that pass you on the street, shoveling your neighbor's sidewalk, just to name a few. And the best part is that the kindness event will make people think about being kind all year. I hope that you like what I feel is good for Wethersfield. The world could use more kindness, and we could start in our town. Thank you for considering me to represent Emerson Williams Elementary School as Wethersfield's Kid Mayor.
So, counselors, Fred and Sue, you guys want to gather around and take a photo of Maddie as the mayor? You got everybody?
Yeah.
Thank you. Maddie, why don't you shake everybody's hand? With Emerson Williams as well. Thank you, Maddie. Great job. Thank you, parents. Moving on in our agenda is we have a report from our Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, and the chair of the committee is going to give a brief report. So Eunice, and I have my phone, so it's an inside joke. You remember that?
I'm leaving mine over.
I attended one of the meetings. Yeah, you go up there, and my phone ended up with Eunice. So, and thanks to her sister-in-law, helped us find it. But anyways, I have my phone here. I'm happy to see you here. We thank you for all your work with the Senior Citizen Advisory Committee, and we'd love to hear your brief update about what the committee is
Yes,
doing.
it will be brief.
Good.
I
Go right ahead. The
promise.
floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Mayor Lesser and members of the Town Council. My name is Eunice DeBella. I am the chair of the Senior Citizens Advisory Committee for the town, and I am happy to have the opportunity to speak before you. The Senior Citizen Advisory Committee is created in the Town Code, Article 6, Section 10-18 to Sections 10-21. Membership of the committee includes residents of the town 55 years or older, individuals from the health profession, and a member of the clergy. In addition, town employees from the town come to the meetings, and they also report on their activities. Section 10-21 of this code states that the mission of this committee is to conduct inquiries into the needs of the senior community, report on these needs yearly to the council, so that's why I'm here, and make recommendations for programs at least once a year. Now, the committee has developed goals to accomplish this mission, and I'll briefly go through these goals. Number one, sponsor an appropriate educational program once a year that is held in May. This year, our program will be presented by the Wethersfield Police Department, and it is the subject is personal safety. Last year, our program was entitled Building Community in an Isolated World, and in 2023, we had a program on cybersecurity, and it was also presented by the Wethersfield Police Department, and I'm so glad to see all of you here tonight. We thank the council for giving us a modest budget for this program, and also we want to thank Amy Miller and her staff for their work in support of this event and all of the work that they do to support the senior center and the senior community. The second objective that we developed is to review the town code as it appears, as it applies to our committee, and it is a little outdated, and to make recommendations to update it. Currently, we are on a final draft, and we will submit it to the town for review. Third, we are supposed to ascertain the needs of our senior committee, aside from the obvious need that we all know, which is to have a better facility, senior center and community center, and I know that the town has been working on that. So to end this, to work towards this goal, we are working on a very brief survey that we will survey seniors with. So in order to develop a survey, we have to develop questions, and we want this to be a very brief survey, and we have to disseminate the survey in either hard copy or digital format, and then we have to collate the results. So it's a very big project. In order to disseminate the survey, we have to identify the senior population. Now, according to the voter list, most current voter list, there are 11,000 registered voters over the age of 55. So that's a significant portion of the population of this town. And quite frankly, I was surprised by how many. Now, our population in this town is only 27,000 as of the 2020 census. So, it's easy to disseminate the survey to get responses from people who go to programs. But our goal is to reach people who do not ordinarily attend programs sponsored by the Senior Center. There are obvious ways that information can be disseminated. You can leave things in the library, places of worship, town hall, Executive Square, which is a residence for older and disabled adults. But that's not really going to reach as many people as we would like to reach to have a meaningful survey. So some of the things that we thought about was having something in a page of Wethersfield Life, because I know many residents do read that, and a limited mailing. But mailings are very expensive, and even printing a survey is expensive. Although we have discussed dissemination in digital format, but we know a lot of older people don't necessarily are not necessarily attuned to digital formats. So this is going to obviously cost money. And once we get the information, then we have to collate the data. You can't just take a survey and look at it. You have to have some way to collate it to make some sense out of it. So, of course, I'm here to discuss this problem, and the committee requests, respectfully, a modest appropriation, and we've come up with a figure of $2,000, which is probably way less than the whole project would take, but it's to get you thinking about it and to have a placeholder. But we are charged with assessing the needs of the senior community, and so this is directly in response to those needs, to assessing those needs. And so there we are. We request this in addition to the small amount of money that we've been given to support our annual program. Now, keep in mind, as I said, that we're asking for this so we can accomplish the mission that we have been given, the goal, the job that we've been given. And I also want you to consider the fact senior population is a very large part of this town, and they really deserve the consideration of this town to support them and to support the programming and to try to figure out where their needs lie. So, with closing, I thank you very much for your attention to this matter, and if you have any questions, of course, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Eunice, for that very informative update, and appreciate all the work you're doing. Does any counselor have a question or a comment for Eunice, for the Senior Center?
Well, then, thank you very much.
Let me just say this for everybody. To join the Senior Center, you have to be only 55. Now, looking out at the audience and all of our officers, you all look younger than 55. And I know most of the counselors here. I, however, am a member of the Senior Center, and it's for the bargain price of $5 a year. And you get great benefits to join, and we appreciate all the work you guys do. So thank you, Eunice.
You're very welcome, and thank you for your attention.
So we're going to move on, and we're going to have our Chief of Police give an update and a report. So Chief Medina, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Mayor. Counselor, Town Manager. Before we do the bi-monthly, I would like to recognize 2 officers for their exemplary actions in the last couple of weeks. So I'm going to start with that, and then I'll turn the floor over to Deputy Chief Rodriguez to do the bi-monthly. Yes, please, thank you. So good evening, Town Manager Presley, Mayor Lester, Deputy Mayor Forrest, councilors, members of the Weathersfield Police Department, and community. Tonight, we celebrate the courage, quick thinking, and unwavering dedication of 2 Weathersfield police officers who acted decisively to save a life in a moment of great urgency, whose heroic actions turned a potential tragedy into triumph. Our officers wear the uniform every day, prepared to serve and protect. They demonstrate extraordinary composure, skill, and commitment to preserving life in life-threatening emergencies. For their remarkable efforts, these officers are being awarded the life-saving citation. The blue commendation bar they will wear will symbolize their bravery and remind them of the life they forged and changed. So tonight we recognize Officer Derek Farrell and Officer Ian Luna. So you step up. On March 29, 2025, Officer Derek Farrell and Officer Ian Luna responded to a serious motor vehicle accident at the Berlin Turnpike and Pawtucket Avenue intersection. Upon arrival, they encountered a vehicle fully engulfed in flames with the operator trapped inside. Recognizing the immediate danger, Officer Luna swiftly deployed the fire extinguisher from his patrol vehicle to suppress the flames. Simultaneously, Officer Farrell used a window punch to shatter the front passenger side window. As Officer Luna continued the battle of fire, Officer Farrell reached into the vehicle and with great determination pulled the trapped operator through the window, dragging him to safety. So, these are the words. I want you to watch the video. I play this.
No. Is he in there? Luna, hit it. Yeah, I got you. Come on, Ray. You gotta help me out. You gotta help me out. Anybody else in there? Is there anyone else in your car?
Thanks to their prompt response, quick thinking, and coordinated efforts, the vehicle operator survived this life-threatening incident. Their actions exemplify the highest standards of dedication, bravery, and service upheld by the Weathersfield Police Department. In recognition for their exemplary life-saving efforts, we proudly present Officer Derek Farrell and Officer Ian Luna with the Weathersfield Police Department life-saving citation. Good job. Excellent job. Sir, I can use that window punch button.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. Excellent job. I would just like to state that that video was put on our Facebook page and has received over 304,000 views, 481 comments, and 432 shares. And it made nationwide news. So congratulations to those 2 officers for a fine, outstanding job. And with that, I will turn this over to Deputy Chief Rodriguez for the bi-monthly report.
Good evening, Town Manager Presley, Mayor Lesser, Deputy Mayor Forrest, and councilors. I'm here tonight to present our bi-monthly report for the month of January and February. Start off with our demographics at the police department. Currently, we're budgeted for 50 sworn officers. We're currently at 47. As far as the breakdown by gender, we have 40 male officers, 7 female officers. And a breakdown by race, we have 35 Caucasian officers, 9 Hispanic, 1 African American, 2 Asian. As far as the experience level associated with our officers, 26 are lateral and 21 are entry level. We have received a combined 12 applications between January and February. 3 certified applicants and 9 entry level. We hired 1 entry-level officer, and she's currently just started the academy late last month, and she's in New Britain. And we're still working on our recruiting efforts moving forward. This map here depicts the calls for service for the 2 months. That equals 6,241. It's an increase of 1,158 from the same period last year. We average about 67 calls per day total, and out of that total number, 3,934 calls were generated by our officers. And you can see where the calls are spread out throughout the map of the town. These are the patrol checks that our officers are conducting. And as you can see, they're doing business checks all along the Silas, all along the Barall Turnpike, and we're also doing checks of town buildings and parks during those times as well. For motor vehicle accidents, we experienced 70 accidents between the 2 months. And as you can see, most of them occur on the Silas Deane Highway and the Barall Turnpike. Just a little bit more of a breakdown for the demos involved in these accidents. Most of the accidents happened on Wednesday and Friday between noon and 5. We experienced 32 in January and 38 in February. About 82% of those accidents resulted in no injuries. And 18% of the accidents involved operators aged 37 to 45 for that time period. And as you can see, as far as motor vehicle enforcement goes, our officers blanketed the town, and you can see they're pretty much everywhere along our busiest routes, which are the Barall Turnpike, Prospect, Wells, the Silas Deane Highway. And for motor vehicle stops, we issued 489 verbal warnings for stop sign violations, 87 written warnings for stop sign violations, and 72 verbal warnings for red light violations. There was a total of 1,084 motor vehicle stops conducted, and it breaks down to about 22% were the ages of 37 to 45. We attempted 3 motor vehicle stops. Those are vehicles that wouldn't stop for our officers in that 2-month period and kept going. And for the same time period, it was an increase of about 338 motor vehicle stops by our officers from the previous year. As far as crime reporting go, we investigated 71 cases of disorderly conduct, 22 domestic situations, 2 reports of gunshots, and we'll circle back to that in 1 second, 26 shopliftings, and 6 reported stolen motor vehicles. As far as the gunshots, both were found to be unfounded. One was fireworks at the Cove, and the second one were kids playing street hockey and slapping on the puck. Echoed, and the person thought that they were gunshots, so no gunshots were fired.
But who's the good hockey player?
We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, we will.
As far as parking violations, we totaled 211 parking violations or tickets issued. About 21% of that was for all-night parkers, which equal to about 46 or so for parking tickets. As far as ACO calls for service, which is our animal control officer, which we currently don't have, however, our officers still respond to animal complaints. We had 58 of those. We manned 14 crossing guard posts, and we installed 5 car seats during that time. And that concludes the presentation. Any questions?
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Does anybody have any questions or comments for our Deputy Chief? Councilor Carbone.
Hi, Deputy Chief Rodriguez. Nice to see you. This is just a curious question. On the calls, there were 37 911 hangups. I was just curious, so if it's a landline and somebody calls and hangs up, do you send somebody?
We do. We go out and make sure that everything's okay. And a lot of times we find that someone misdialed on the phone or one of the kids got on the phone and dialed 911. Typically, it doesn't generate anything beyond that.
My kids called 911, by the way, when they were young. And the officers were very nice about it. I had no idea until they showed up. And then secondly, if it's a cell phone and somebody, do you?
It does pick up the location and cell phone. Most of the time,
great.
yes. It does.
And you'll still send somebody?
We'll try to get a hold of the person and call back. But, sometimes they're on 91 going through town. And so it happens. And by the time, we find out where they are, they're long gone and everything's typically okay. We haven't had an instance where someone's called 911 and they really need help and we weren't able to help or patch them through to either the state police or another agency surrounding the town.
That's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Further council questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Thanks, Mayor. This is a sort of a dual question. The first is, can you give us the status on our drone, which I believe we have, but if you could let us know what that is, and would it have applied if we are ready to go to the 3 individuals who wanted to run?
So the drone program, it's in place. We do have the drone. We just finished up training within the last couple of weeks, I believe. Where's Richie? And so it's up. And so far as deploying it for those cars, remember, that happens right away.
Yeah.
Right now, an officer can be trying to pull a car, but it takes off. So we wouldn't have time to deploy.
Can't bring an air support?
No, we do have Star Chase. We do have Star Chase, as you know, that, and we do deploy that.
Yeah.
And so that's the technology that can be used right then and there if we're able to. But as far as the drone, it's not a realistic expectation just because of how quick it happens.
Okay. The next one, I was looking at the parking enforcement, and you indicated there was a percentage of overnight individuals. Do you know if any of them were also like the snow shelf violations where people park out in the snow shelf?
No, so I know for a fact that, we do get a lot of calls about the overnight parker. So on the midnight shift,
Sure.
There's been an emphasis placed on that. The rest of those tickets are for other violations that could potentially have the snow shelf violations. I don't know the exact number, but those are, parking in the fire lane, parking on the wrong side of the street, maybe blocking a
Handicap
driveway.
parking, whatever it is, right?
Right,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Any further council comments or questions? I'll just say thank you. Really proud of the work you guys do. We're always proud as a community to say we have the lowest crime rate in the area, and so thanks to leadership and all the officers. And I like to say, as I travel around the state, we have the best PD in the state of Connecticut. So thank you for all you guys do. Appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
We can do a little round of applause.
Have a good night.
Chief, does that conclude your report, or do you have anything else to add?
Nope, I'll just make another PSA.
Okay.
The Mustang has been deployed. The traffic unit is now out in effect.
Hey, all right.
He's working tonight. He's probably got about 20 motor vehicle stops as of this evening, so be careful when you leave.
And
He's
where
on
is
the
he going
Silas
to be?
Deane. I'll give you a hint where he's at. He's on the
When we
Silas
leave
Deane.
here, everybody go
Black
slowly.
Mustang.
You should go slowly anyway, but go
Should be
slowly.
ban the traffic laws, but if not, that's your second PSA announcement.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks, everybody. Okay, we're going to move on in our agenda. We have no hearings. Our next item on the agenda is public comment, and let me read the opening to this. During public comment period, the members of the public will have 5 minutes to speak on any issue. We have a lighted timer at the podium to help each speaker be aware of the time remaining for them to address the council. When you step up to the podium, please state your name and address. At that point, the green light will come on and your 5 minutes will begin. The yellow light will come on when you have 1 minute left. And at this time, we ask you to begin to wrap up your comments. And the red light will come on when you've reached the 5 minute limit and you are asked to complete your comments at that time. I ask that you address your comments to the entire council and refrain from speaking directly to or about any individual council member or the audience. I also ask that you refrain from any derogatory comments or personal attacks, and please at all times remain respectful. This section is for public comment only, and the council will generally not engage in dialogue during this portion of the agenda. If any follow-up is needed, please leave your contact information with the town clerk, and the town manager will follow up with you. At this time, does anybody want to make any public comment? Yes, ma'am? Yes, please. And- welcome. Just start with your name and address, and welcome.
Hi, I'm Megan Glanowski, 24 Morrison Avenue. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here tonight to advocate for greater awareness, acceptance, and inclusion of neurodiverse children, those with autism, ADHD, and other developmental differences in our schools and town programs. Sorry. These children are often bright, creative, and full of curiosity, but because their behavior may not always look typical, they are frequently misunderstood. A twice exceptional child who struggles with impulse control may be seen as disruptive rather than enthusiastic. A child who moves a lot or speaks loudly, sorry.
Your time.
It's that mom.
Yeah, it's all right, go on.
May be labeled defiant rather than simply needing support. A child who struggles with self-regulation isn't trying to cause trouble. He's doing his best with the tools he has. When adults expect these children to just know better or just stop without extra guidance, we fail them. When adults focus only on compliance rather than understanding the child's needs, we end up punishing kids for having a disability instead of supporting them through it. These kids are not trying to be difficult. Many are working incredibly hard to regulate their emotions and behavior, but it is a process that takes time, support, and the right environment. Punitive approaches, removing them from activities, isolating them, or treating them as troublemakers do not help them succeed. It is heartbreaking to see children pushed out of classrooms and programs, not because they are unwilling to learn or participate, but because the adults in charge lack the training, patience, or flexibility to support them. When those children are suspended, excluded, or shamed, sometimes repeatedly, it sends the message that they don't belong, and that message stays with them for a long time. It's especially disheartening when families who try to work collaboratively are met with defensiveness or even subtle retaliation for speaking up. Advocacy on behalf of a child should never be met with punishment. We can do better. I urge this council to prioritize meaningful neurodiversity training for all town staff, educators, program leaders, and administrators. We need inclusive policies and a culture that seeks to understand before it disciplines. When we build environments that support neurodiverse children, we don't just help those kids, we create stronger, more compassionate systems for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Further public, Mr. Young, I think you saw your hand up. Cindy, I have you on deck. Mr. Young was first.
Good evening, Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. You know, at the last town council meeting, am I getting an echo? Yeah?
Yeah.
At the last town council meeting, you had an item on new business regarding the emergency need to expedite a repair at the high school on the tennis courts. On that, I went back and looked at it, the tennis courts, and I believe I sent every one of you pictures that I took days after the town council meeting and showed the cracks that were in that particular 1 acre parcel. That's where you had 8 tennis courts. And there were many cracks in there. There was many places that didn't have cracks, okay? But I went back again on a Thursday after I went back again with a citizen. Well, my first visit was with a Wethersfield citizen, someone I knew, to look at it. And I took pictures at that time. I came back again on a Thursday and with another Wethersfield citizen, and we looked at it, and at that same time, the contractor was there doing work. He was filling the cracks. He was doing the bottom portions of the cracks. And as you can see, and I've sent you pictures of not only the crack before, but I sent you pictures of cracks found in that tennis court that were done by the contractor. As well as there's cracks in that 1 acre parcel that are not even filled. And you know, you talk about this was a safety issue. If this was a safety issue, all those cracks should have been taken care of, including in the middle of the tennis courts. There's 4 tennis courts on one side of a big fence, and on the other side, there's another 4. And along that fence, underneath the fence, it's riddled with more damage. Also, there's a gate that opens up between the 4 on the south side of that fence and the 4 on the north side, where that crack wasn't even taken care of by your contractor. I think it's very disturbing to see those cracks in something that is only 8 years old. And that contractor who installed it is not liable, which I find pretty tough to believe. And I also find that his billing is typical of billing a municipality that doesn't even challenge the bid. I mean, we have surface cleaning, 49,000 square feet, which is going to cost us $12,600. We have right-way crack repair. That's doing the bottom of the crack down by 6 inches coming up, and then putting a seal on top of it with their whatever, okay? That was $17,000. That's a heck of a lot of money. And then the touch-up color, $6,800. And what's really ugly in this case is mobilization and fuel charge. We had mobilization. I'd never heard of mobilization as far as part of a bill goes, but I've heard about surcharges for gas. That gas business is all over. And you folks voted on it. It was part of your vote. A business, and that's where I come back to, a business would have taken a line right across that invoice and wiped that out, would have made some adjustments on those other prices and brought everything down, but not a municipality. And what was even more disturbing, Mayor, sitting here listening to the talk between the town manager and the only 3 people down the end of the dais that challenged and asked questions.
Thank you.
The people up on this end, nobody said a word. It was, we'll sign off on it. I'll be back.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Further public comment. Cindy, you were next, and Mr. Woodward, Bob, you're next after Cindy.
Good evening, Cindy Jacobs, 71 Sunrise Terrace. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Town Council, for the opportunity to speak and for the work that you do and the volunteer work that you do for our town. And Mr. Town Manager, thank you for your leadership of programs and projects that are important and benefit the town. I have a few comments regarding town maintenance and of our assets and infrastructure. First of all, I just want to, I know this this came out several weeks ago, but the town received a grant of $1 million for the extension of sidewalks. Some of those were near schools, so I think it's great, and I imagine it would be Eric Gregor and Vlada who works on our grants, so it's town staff working hard and working together. So that's going to be an improvement, and it's going to make the walk to school even safer, and for those who use it. I will say that was a sidewalk extension over the last year. I know because we had a proactive town budget that allowed for the improvement, continued improvement of sidewalks throughout the town, and I see this as a pedestrian, I see that as a biker, so it's great, it really makes a difference, and just to remember, 90% of our revenue, our tax revenue comes from homeowners, so I think it's a great benefit for homeowners, that they can enjoy sidewalks, that they don't trip, they're not trip hazards, and so on. There's a lot that I noticed, because I walk around there north of Town Hall, north of Church Street, and the kind of the east-west sidewalks. So that's great. So I hope in this year's budget there will be a continuation of that, and that's just maintaining our assets and making sure we have a safe and a safe walk for everyone. I want to call attention to the bicycle trail in Wintergreen Woods. So that's the north-south trail that is just west of Weathersfield High. It's also on the Heritage Way Trail. Weathersfield High School students, the track team, the cross-country team, and so on, and students walk to and from high school. I see people, we use it on a regular basis. I see families, runners, bicyclists. It's really well used. And several months out of the year, there are enormous puddles. And you just really have to step around. Really, there's no way to step around the mud. You end up with muddy shoes. It's hard, for bicyclists to drag themselves through it. It's a low area for sure. There are 2 large spots, if not more, depending on how you look at the puddle and the mess, north of Church, and there is a spot or 2, areas south of Church. I've been in contact with Kathy Bagley for the last year, and in conversation with her, she's now retired, but she mentioned that it had to be dry before it would, obviously, she said, ironically, it has to be dry before it's fixed, but we had a drought and it still wasn't fixed. So I just want to call attention to that. It's been on the slate for a year and really needs to be addressed. This was discussed at the last Bike Ped Advisory Committee in late March. It was suggested that, and Kathy Bagley suggested it needed a filler, gravel on the bottom to build it up, and then wood chips. But it may be a drainage problem as well. So it just needs to be looked at carefully and addressed. How the water flows, and it may be that it needs some piping. But please take a look at it. It is a really beloved and well-used trail. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cindy. Further public comment, Mr. Woodward, you are next, sporting your Yukon women's hat.
Absolutely.
I know you're a big fan, maybe the biggest in Weathersfield.
No, I doubt that.
So we're celebrating a championship, but I know you wear that hat proudly, so.
Absolutely.
And season ticket holder, if I'm correct.
No, just at the XL
At the
Center,
season ticket
not
holder,
out on
XL,
campus.
yeah.
Too far to go out to campus.
Yeah.
My name is Bob Woodward. I live at 456 Middletown Avenue here in Weathersfield. Back when Michael Scott and his company held a meeting up at the senior center about the elementary school renovation, I raised a point with him. I said, is there some way that you can convince the school budget and even the town budget to drop their expenses, to counterbalance the cost to the citizens of the elementary school renovations? I've just come to a point, if I understand correctly, from the rare reminder and from the meeting up at Highcrest, that apparently the swing school is going to go to Highcrest and not down at Stillman. That is something I can support, but I really would appreciate it if somehow you could send the school budget back to the school board during the next 2 weeks and say, please cut that increase down from 4.95. Well, seniors got 2.5, but something. I'll encourage Mr. Presley to remember that. I noticed on the website his budget, the town side of the budget, wasn't finished yet. It would indeed, if, oh, it's here, okay. I'll have to take a look at that. But if you can keep something down so that it allows those of us who are seniors and those who are non-seniors who don't make a whole lot of money to say, hey, we can support this school plan, the building plan, the renovation plan, without having to dig deep. We can support this with what we make without having to go looking for more. It would really be helpful to us to support that. If the increase is 4.95 overall or whatever, and I don't know what it's going to be yet, that's going to be a hard thing for a lot of people in this town. So I'll leave you with those thoughts, and we'll see what happens 2 weeks from tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Further public comment? Seeing none, we are going to move on to our agenda to council reports. Does any councilor have a report this evening? Councilor Rhodes.
So I have two things. One, I had the chance to attend the Taste of Wethersfield at the Keeney Center on Saturday, and it was the first time I was able to go, and it was a lovely, lovely night. Great to see so many businesses out, and they had a great turnout. So if you haven't had the chance to do that, I'd encourage you to look for it for next year. It was really a lovely way to see all of the restaurants and businesses, and it was nice. It's a nice night. Council report from the library board. I'd like to, on their behalf, invite anyone who's interested to join us for the opening day of the Story Walk, which is finally opening up. The story's ready to go. The ribbon cutting is this coming Saturday, April 12th at 10 a.m. There's a rain date of Tuesday, April 15th, and it's open to anyone who wants to attend. If you're not able to attend the ribbon cutting, I encourage you to get out to Wintergreen Woods to the trail to visit the Story Walk. If you're not familiar with what it is, there are panels that have been installed throughout the walk, and they'll periodically be rotating the story that is along that walkway. So really interactive, outdoor, fun thing for everybody. So that is from the library board.
Thank you, Councilor Rhodes. Further council reports? Anyone? Councilor Zambrello.
Thank you, Mayor. And I missed the last meeting, so my report will be twice as long as normal. I'm just
joke,
kidding.
right?
It's a joke, yes.
Thank God.
So,
dry humor.
Yeah, so first, the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Committee, there is a meeting in this room on Thursday at 6 p.m. to learn about the multimodal trail that's being planned between Hartford and Wethersfield. So at this meeting, the study team will discuss the draft preferred alignment for the trail, analysis of route options in Hartford and Wethersfield, potential trail design, and project cost estimates and timeline. So everyone's welcome to attend that. Because it's between Hartford and Wethersfield, there's also an identical meeting tonight. So if somebody missed that one, you can go to the Wethersfield one and you'll get the same information on Thursday. And then for schools, as Mr. Woodward brought up, the building committee voted at their last meeting to make Highcrest the first school on the Keisha site. And they also voted to approve the overall order of the schools. I'm not going to get into that too much tonight because we'll be discussing it at one of our upcoming meetings in a lot more detail. But this enables the consultants now to go ahead and come up with a cost estimate for the entire project. While we're doing each school one at a time, it is an overall plan that we're looking to envision for the town, so everyone knows what's happening in what order and how much is predicted to cost. So the next meeting of the building committee is this Wednesday, April 9th at 6, am I right? 7, thank you. And that'll be in this room, and the consultants will be here to give us their estimate, at least as far as they've gotten on the first part of the referendum, because there will be 2 referendums, that's the current plan. The first one will be 3 schools, and then the second one in a few years will be for the last 2. Like I said, we're envisioning this as all 5. It's just going to be in a couple of chunks. So the first estimate we should be getting on Wednesday, so everyone's welcome to attend that. And I know that people have a lot of burning questions about how much is this going to cost. So come on out on Wednesday and we'll get some more information about that. And want to say thank you to the committee. I know we have a few of our members here tonight for doing their due diligence on the original Stillman vote that they took. They did all that necessary research, and they went to the HDC, and they went to the high-crest community, and ultimately became clear that there were going to be too many obstacles. And in the interest of keeping that project on track and as efficient as possible, I think it's a good choice that they made. And I think it gives us a nice opportunity as a town to potentially bring in more of our agricultural heritage, which we haven't been able to do. And it seems like from the response at the High Crest meeting a couple of weeks ago that people are interested. And we really wanted to have a location for this first school that people would welcome into their neighborhoods, knowing that not everybody is going to be happy with every option, but it's very nice to hear that reception for this location, that people overall seem happy with it and interested, and like it's potentially a good opportunity for the town. So happy that we're moving forward with that. And like I said, we'll be talking about this once the Board of Ed has a chance to review the overall order for the plan in the first school. It will come to us to discuss. We'll get a little presentation at that time. So we'll keep everyone posted on when that's happening so you can get a lot more information about that. And again, Wednesday for the first of the cost estimates. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambrello. Further council reports? Okay, Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Just a couple items for the council. The first is, I think it's this Friday, the Weathersfield Historical Society, not the Weathersfield Historic District Commission, is putting together their second draft of the history of the town of Weathersfield, which will be anticipated to be a mural display, possibly in this building, and also can roam possibly to us schools. So they have done a tremendous amount of work and came up with the first draft. They're elaborating it, tweaking it, seeing how to properly display it. And I'm very excited about their sort of second version or their second draft. So anticipate after the second draft and some finalization that this council might be expected to then receive a funding request to actually do the project. It's a display, like if you were to go to a museum. It's a museum display. I think it's currently in sort of bookish form because it's not, put into the sort of the formalistic display, but I think it will be mostly in like a museum type format where you might walk through and you could walk through this town and you could sort of work from pre-1634 up to the present, almost not really but we have sort of a little bit of a history here, but elaborating it more from a historical context, and they'll probably put it into eras and things of that nature. It should be cool. It should be great, actually. I think it's going to be.
Sorry, I was just trying to follow you.
Yeah.
What was you talking about?
The second thing is we have the Resiliency Committee coming up soon. We're going to be hopefully receiving back some estimates about how to transform many of our major buildings to become more efficient, and also possibly some opportunities for creating power so we don't have that burden on our budget, which is also it's actually technically a very important energy, environmental, and really budgetary and economic thing for us. So we'll be looking forward to that particular report coming up soon. They had last week the BIPOC community meeting, which was very well attended. A celebration of culture and community programs, as well as community businesses. One of the best things that I got out of it, although there were many things, was I met a lot of people that have community businesses. There was a baker there, a landscaper, a doctor, and that's always, I think it's always nice that, can I go to Stop and Shop in Rocky Hill to buy a cake, or do I know a baker in town that is about the same price? And it seems like shopping local, at least it makes me feel good. And usually the product is actually excellent as well. So it was great to be able to meet those people and celebrate the diversity of culture that we have in town. Lastly, Cindy Jacobs came up and brought up the Infrastructure Committee, the infrastructure needs of the town. And that was also, just so you know, provided a list that was reworked in the last 7 to 14 days by the Capital Improvement Advisory Committee. And if you haven't received the update, which we might have all received about a week ago, those might be a lot of concepts as we move into budget season. The committee asked me to put forward and indicate the importance of the work that they do and many of the items they see year after year after year after year on there, and that although they may not be extremely interesting in the parlance of, politics, sometimes fixing a drain is what we need to. So that's the reports from all the committees over the last couple weeks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Forrest. Do I have any further council reports before we do council comments? Seeing none, and I have several council comments, but no council reports. Let's start. Does anybody have any council comments? Seeing none, bear with me. I'll run them through these quick, but I have several. First, I attended and played in the Webb PTO benefit basketball game against the Wizards, and Councilor Carbone had to witness that. I'm sorry about that, Councilor Carbone. And there was a time where the announcer said, let's get the mayor a bucket. So they passed me the ball, and I'm sorry to report I shot an air ball. That is a true story. But I enjoyed it very much, and we were able to raise some money for the Webb PTO. I don't need to report on the BIPOC. I was there too, which was great. I do want to report on last weekend, March 30th, there was an event at the high school. It's very serious, called Face the Fight. I attended this event that was 2 Wethersfield High School seniors as part of their National Honor Society program to raise money for veterans for suicide prevention. And this was Alyssa, I can't pronounce her name, Pedidrakis, something like that, and Ava Thompson. And they did an amazing job working on a very difficult subject and had a lot of veterans there. Also attended the Firefighters Annual Beer and Wine Festival. You might have been in Florida, because I don't know if I didn't see you there, but because I usually see Chief Bailey there. That was a great event as well. I have 1 or 2 more. I attended the Human Library. For those of you that don't know what that is, that was an event at Emerson Williams School where people are their own book. So they tell their life story, and we have librarians who organize the event, we have books who are people, and then we have readers who get to learn about people's life story. And it's a nice way to learn about different people in our community, to share things. And they had some very, I guess we all do, but some very unique life stories, and I was proud that people were willing to talk about their life stories. 2 other things I wanted to report on, including one special announcement. On April 23rd, we are going to have the opening of the Fresh Market grocery store, which I'm being told is, they like to call it a food destination. But I hope the public can come. I hope the councilors can come. It will be at 8 o'clock in the morning, a ribbon cutting. And then there is something online, or if you go to the store, where if you sign up with the QR code and you shop that day, I think you get 20% off. I don't know if anybody else has seen this, but I've seen it, so I encourage everybody to do that. And lastly, a special announcement, something I've been working on for a little while, and I had a helper who I will tell you about in a second, but the special announcement is we are going to have a private screening in Wethersfield at the community center of the movie The Featherweight. The movie The Featherweight is the story of Willie Pep, the boxer, and this was a movie out in the theaters not too long ago, and we've been trying to get a private screening here, and I got a call from the writer-producer last week that it's coming, that we finally have prevailed, and this is a really cool story. He used to live in Wethersfield. He was, as many of you know, he was the world champion featherweight. I can't say the featherweight. And he won 241 fights in the top 10 of all boxers in the history of boxing. Part of the film is filmed at Macra-Steiner, and there's other Wethersfield locations. And one of the stars, who is my helper in bringing it to Wethersfield, is Emma Aiello. And Emma Aiello, you may know her, it plays the mother of Willie Pep. So the movie is coming May 2nd, Friday, from 1 to 3 in the afternoon. That's all they gave us. It's going to be at the Senior Center, and you have to register because they're going to limit to it. It's free, but they're going to limit it to about 50 people. So it's going to be the story of Willie Pep's life, one particular time in it, and we're excited to have the premiere here in Wethersfield. That's all I have for council comments. If nobody else has any more, I'm going to go to Town Manager's report. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'll start with the budget. So per the charter, you all have at your space at the dais here, the proposed budget for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. You'll note it looks much different than the previous years. We've spent a lot of time over the last several weeks inputting all the information into a new budget system that will not only make it better for you all in terms of what you're looking at, it'll make it a lot easier for the public to utilize. It'll have an online component. People will be able to go into every department, click through graphs, show it in different ways to help them to understand it better. So this is the first step of that, and so we were able to, not without a lot of pain and struggle, and I want to thank Mike O'Neill, Joe Clerk, and Cheryl Pierce in my office. They've endless hours trying to get all this in properly, and of course all our department heads for providing their budget to us to make all this possible. You know, the long and the short of it is this is the smallest increase that I've presented to you yet in the 3 years that I've been presenting budgets to you all. It started out when we got the department request, it was close to 10%. We knew that wasn't going to work, given particularly the revaluation. So we worked very hard to bring this down. This is a very lean budget. The increases are overwhelmingly contractual, whether that be salaries benefit-wise or contracts with for different projects. So the increase that we're proposing at the town side right now is 3.85%. Combined with the school's proposed increase of 4.95, the combined increase would be 4.42%. We did also, we all are also proposing a increase in the road levy simply because we've fallen short on the amount of money we need to complete the road projects in the spring and the fall. So we're asking you to consider an increase, but that is at your purview. The proposed mill rate after the reval that we have for you is 32.95. I will tell you that that mill rate is the lowest mill rate this town has seen since 2011. And my guess is that through the hard work of this council over the next several weeks, we could probably get that lower than that. That being said, as I've mentioned in the past, and I'll say again, the reval is atypical this year. We have seen a pretty substantial shift in the burden from the commercial side to the residential side. That's a factor of a few things. I think COVID, as we all know, drove down the value of office space. A lot of people still work from home. A lot of the office buildings took a hit. And then even pre-COVID, but certainly COVID exacerbated the behavior of folks when it comes to retail shopping. So a lot of our retail properties have gone down as well. Now, I'll preface this by saying they all basically went up. So overall, the increase on the commercial side was around 25%. But when compared to the residential side of things, the residents on average went up over 50%. So what that means is that generally in a budget, you'll see something to the effect of a median price home would expect a tax increase of X based upon this mill rate. I can't give you that because there's no such thing. I can give you a median price home, but I can look at 10 at that price level based upon this reval, and they're all over the place because depending on the neighborhood they were in, the type of house they're in, their increase is going to be very different. The long and the short of it is, some people are going to be feeling a lot of pain with this, regardless of what we do on this budget. This is reval only. It's going to be very painful. I did some rough numbers, and I'll go into this in more detail when I do my presentation for you all in a couple of weeks. But I took all of the valuations, the new assessments, and I applied the new proposed mill rate across the board. And the median, which is that middle point, the dead center middle, as far as an increase, was $1,100, over $1,100. And that was also just about the average. But as the median, that means half of your properties in town are going to be below that, and half are going to be above that. I will tell you that almost 500 homes are going to see a decrease in their taxes. And again, it's kind of all over the place what those happen to be. Tend to be the more expensive homes. But there are several that are going to see much higher than that 1,100. And I've seen numbers as high as $5,000 on some homes. Which means it's going to be a very difficult budget for you all to consider, because we have to think about all that, because that's just the reality. And I'm not going to attempt to sugarcoat it, because there's no sugarcoating it. And for the public out there, this is mandated, the process is mandated, and we have to follow it. And there's no way that this council or anyone else can tax one group differently than another. So we can't tax commercial differently than the residential. It has to be straight across the board. So the market really drives this, and it's not a good market for a town that has 90% or more residential properties. So I just want to get that reality out there for everybody. We're going to be discussing this more as we move through, but in this context, when you look at how we can bring that mill rate down, I talked about the average increase being around $1,100. If we were to drop it a mill, that will decrease that $1,100 by about $270, $275. A mill is $3 million in this budget. So that's a lot of cutting that you'd have to get to just to get to a single mill to save somebody on that higher end. So difficult budget year, and that's why we did our best to get it down as low as we can going into this next phase, which is frankly the deliberation phase, and we will be discussing this a lot more. But I just wanted to give you kind of a heads up as to what's coming, because it's not pretty. We've been dealing with it internally for several weeks here, trying to work through how we can get this down as low as we can. I think we've done a fair job at that, but I think there's still more work to be done. Beyond the budget, and again, for those who don't know, the budget presentation will be in 2 weeks on the 21st, and I intend to also put out with our social media manager a video that'll explain this to folks as well. And I'm going to drill down a lot into this whole reval piece, because it's difficult for people to understand, and I want to make it as simple as possible. We're working on several charts and graphs to kind of explain it all to folks so they understand. We're going to try to make this at least something that you can understand. You don't have to like it. I don't like it. Mine went up well over $1,000 too. We're all dealing with this. But I think it's important that people understand it. We do our best to get that word across to folks. On positive side, I would like to do a couple of congratulations to staff. We did a couple of recent promotions. Rachel Mattioli has been promoted to the Director of Parks and Recreation. She was previously the Assistant Director. And so we did a full call for applications there. We interviewed 9, I think, individuals as part of that. And Rachel came through very strong in those interviews and was the overwhelming choice of the committee. So Rachel is now in that position full-time. And Erica Texera, who was our Assistant Director of Social, Youth, and Senior Services, has now been appointed the Director of that group. So those are 2 internal promotions. My philosophy has always been, if you have somebody internally that is qualified and has the capabilities to do the job, it's their job to lose. And both of these individuals did an outstanding job in their previous roles, and I'm very confident that they're going to do the same in these director positions. Next, I'd like to say that Sally Katz is in the room here. She's our Director of Physical Services, and today she was just awarded the Connecticut Public Works Leader of the Year Award by the New England chapter of the American Public Works Association. So, Sally. I think it's a very high honor, and I think it's a feather in the cap of Weathersfield, and thank you, Sally, for all you do. And I should say, I'm sure Sally will say, it's not just her, obviously. She's the leader of the year because of her staff and the people she has doing the work every day, and that makes it all possible. So thank you to her staff as well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager, and thank you to you and your staff for all your work on the budget. This will be a lot of reading for us counselors coming up, but we appreciate it. Sally, congratulations. You make us all proud with that, and I know it's your whole staff that shares this award with you. And I'll just mention before we move on to the next agenda item, the Town Manager mentioned the next council meeting, he will go through his budget, and then after that, starting the Thursday night, the 24th, counselors, we have 4 workshop sessions open to the public as well, where we'll discuss with the department heads, I believe it starts April 24th, each of their budgets, as you remember from last year. And as we switched it last year, we used to do it at Pitkin. Last year, we switched the meetings, they're here, all those budget workshops. Instead of Pitkin, they'll be here so we can live stream. That's it for Town Manager's report. Thank you again, Fred, for that. Sue, Town Clerk's report.
I have nothing to report tonight.
That's it? Okay. All right. So moving on to bids, item I1, do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thanks so much, Mayor. Move to award a contract to All State Construction, Inc. for the amount of $1,661,000 to complete the South Deane Middle School chiller and air handler project, and to authorize the town manager to execute any and all related documents.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Zambrello. Thank you. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As you're all well aware, this project we've been working towards for a while now. This project is for the replacement of the chiller and the air handler over the middle school. We've had many issues with it over the last several years since I've been here, and particularly in the summers. As you all know, our school buildings get used year-round. It's not just during the school year, and obviously we have some pretty hot summers and very humid summers, and when these systems go down, it makes it next to impossible to utilize these facilities. This will address this for the Silas Deane Middle School, which is very important for the folks over there. And just for information, we'll also take it offline for this summer, assuming this moves forward, because we have to get this work done while the school is down. So with that, this is 56% reimbursed by the state, and we've already been approved for that funding, and we're just looking for your approval here.
Thank you. Questions for the Town Manager? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll call the question then. All in favor? Say aye. Anyone opposed? Passes. Thank you. Next item is I2. Do I have a motion? Mr. Town Manager.
With the motion?
Oh,
I will, but he called on you.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, sorry, going a little too fast.
I'm not going to make a motion.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, my apologies.
Move to award the contract to Barall and Konover Floors, also known as B&K, for the removal of existing flooring and installation of new LVT flooring and toe kick molding at the Pitkin Community Center.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Town Manager, discussion. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As I'm sure you're all aware, being in this facility frequently, the condition of the flooring in this section is pretty bad. There's a lot of sections of this building that need help, as we heard from from folks earlier, but this gets that entryway. It'll replace the flooring as you walk in the front doors, all the way down the first hallway to the first turn, and in that sitting area. So we're going to replace all the flooring here. This is a first step. After that, we will also be putting in a welcome desk that the plan is to have it manned by volunteers, likely from the senior center or others, to help guide people as they walk in that building. If you're not familiar with that building, you walk in and you have no idea where you need to go. To have somebody there greeting you and directing you is kind of that next step, but this will get the flooring done as the first piece of that.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Questions or comments to the Town Manager? Councilor Carbone.
I have a comment, thank you. I spoke with the town manager because it was confusing to me, and I just wanted to clarify for everyone else that the budget source amount is actually an account number. So the funds were already existing in an account which were going to be used for the Pitkin for something else, correct?
Correct. So we had an account previously that did the account is in the capital reserve, and it was specific to the Pitkin entryway. So it did all the work on the exterior, so the landscaping bricks and stuff as you walk up there, the awning work around, and some of the landscaping around it. There's additional funds that were left over. We knew we wanted to do this work. There was enough money to do this work, so that's the account it's coming out of.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware because it was confusing to me.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Any other questions or comments? Let me just highlight this for a minute because it's important. I'm at the senior center a lot, and I get often folks there telling me that the place needs a facelift, and they use other words. They often use the word, it's a dump, to me. And they talk about how nice the one in Glastonbury and Rocky Hill and Newington is. So we want to invest money. We also have heard about security there, which is also coming as an agenda item. But we want to invest in the senior center, and we really want to have the entryway look better. It's a priority of this council, and included, as the town manager said, in that entryway would be a greeter desk. Those of you that have been to the Keeney Memorial, they have a greeter desk staffed by volunteers. I've already talked to some seniors who are excited and anxious to volunteer and sit at that desk. But it's a nice investment into our senior center, into our seniors as a whole, and I urge adoption. So if there's no other question or comments, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes. Thank you. Next item is I3. Yep. Do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor, thank you.
Move to authorize the contract award to DeChico Brothers from Newington for an amount up to $250,000 to complete required drainage system cleaning and inspection work for the duration of the contract, and to authorize the town manager to execute any and all related agreements and amendments.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
It was close, but I think Councilor Zambrello, you were under the wire there with the, you got that second in first. So Councilor Zambrello, the second. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. This is something that contract we do, I don't know if it's yearly, but I know we have to do the work yearly. We have a requirement under the MS4 permit for Connecticut DEEP, Department of Energy Environmental Protection, that requires us to clean and inspect all of our catch basins, all of our pipes. We have to camera them on a regular basis, but for the cleaning and the inspection and preventing any issues downstream in wetlands in our water bodies. And DeChico Brothers were the winning bid for this, and we're just asking for approval. And Derek Gregor's here, the town engineer, if you have any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Comments or questions on this? Councilor Bailey.
Just for the record, it's the DeChico Brothers.
I said DeChico.
No, it was earlier. It was DeChico. Just for the record, that's all.
Thank you for the clarification, Councilor Bailey. Any questions or comments? Councilor Carbone.
I do, thank you.
Yep.
So it says typically here that it had been recently done by engineering. This,
I'll let
Derek, if, yep.
Hi, Derek, thank you. It'll be painless, I promise. Sorry.
Carbone, you got the floor.
So typically, you've been doing this work, managing the draining in town, the drainage systems, and cleaning out all the catch basins. Thank you.
Yeah, engineering has been responsible for TV inspections when they're required. Historically, Physical Services has managed the catch basin cleaning contract.
Okay.
But since we're the ones that really administer the MS4 permit, and I'm the one who has to certify that we do this every year, recently we've discussed it, and engineering has taken over the catch basin cleaning contract. So this is a new contract for engineering.
Okay, so I'm sorry, forgive my confusion. So Physical Services used to do all this work.
Well, I used to manage the contract.
Manage the contract.
Now he's going to manage the contract.
So
That's
who
the
did
only
we have the contract with prior?
It was Nickel Site Services, which is another company that was low bid at the time that Physical Services put it out.
Up until now, we've been using nickel. And then about how much per year do you know we've been spending on this?
I would say historically between the inspections and the TV both the cleaning and the TV inspections that we're doing, probably around $80,000 a year has been typical. We have found that the contractors are not getting to all the catch basins in a year, and we're finding catch basins that look like they're getting missed. So with this, we're paying, rather than on a lump sum or hourly basis as it used to be, we're paying per structure. So we can do some checks out there and make sure they're doing the work they're supposed to. So we're going to, I have a request in for operating budget funds, and depending on what is approved by council, then we will tailor the contract as required to fit that amount.
Okay, thank you. So what the ask is $250 for a 2-year contract, is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's up to, so if we use, say you use 160,000, we're good. All right, I just want to be clear, because I found it, the whole switching of departments and the contract. So Nickel, when they didn't submit to keep forward?
They didn't bid this time around.
Okay, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Further question or comments? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item J, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I move approval of the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none?
Who'd you call? Who got it?
I've had you.
Give it to,
We're going to say Councilor Durk.
okay.
When are you going to give them a half and half, like a half
Yeah,
sack?
that's
Like
right.
Football?
If there's no questions, all in favor of the consent agenda, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Passes. We're on, there's no item K. Item L, 1, Capital Reserve Fund projects. These are the old ARPA funds now titled the Capital Reserve Funds. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Right now, you all have money that's in the capital reserve that you can spend. There's additional funds that are up for reallocation under the M items, but for this, we're looking specifically at projects that I presented to you all before for building security, and that included the community center and this building. But in addition to that, we provided some additional projects for consideration. One is to add additional funds for the consulting related to the Financial Resilience Committee, the work that we're doing on that committee. The requested amount is $100,000 to add to that, and then an additional amount of funding to go towards the Straddle Hill Road, Silo Drive, drainage repair work, and road repaving. I can provide you all with information from the town engineer into what's been done, what is scheduled to be done with that project. I know you all allocated, currently there's about $400,000 in there. And then CIP, there was an additional 400 of, there's road funds that were available. And there's a request in CIP for an additional 200,000. So that would bring the total to about $1 million. But I know that there's a lot of work there, and I've asked Derek to stick around for this one just because it is a little complicated. But if anybody would like to see the details of that, ask Derek any questions related to that. If you'd like to put any additional funds to get this project further along, that's for your consideration as well.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Questions? This again is some of the recommended items. There are still more funds available that are in the capital reserve, correct? This is a partial list of some recommendations that town staff has.
That's correct.
Okay, so opening it up to questions or comments, and we can motion this, we don't have to, but these are some of the recommendations. Anybody have any questions or comments on these recommendations?
I have a question for Derek, if I may.
Yep, sure, Derek, if you would, thank you.
No, you don't have to stand up. Has this all been cameraed?
Yeah, that
The
neighborhood.
sanitary lines?
Sanitary and storm have been cambered twice over the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find anything wrong really with the pipe systems in either utility. Seems to be more of an issue with high groundwater and backfill materials that were used during construction at this point. So this particular project right now for Silo Drive reconstruction in the Straddle Hill area requires some stabilization underneath the road over the sanitary sewers, as well as putting in extensive amount of under drain to try and get that water away from the road base and help with these settlement issues we've been having.
Into the catch basins?
Yeah.
How deep are you going?
For the stabilization, or for under
Stabilization.
stabilization, it's going to be a geofabric with 18 inches of crushed stone, then the base, which is going to be 12-inch process aggregate, and then 4-inch pavement. That was designed by VHB. We had them come in. They did extensive testing out there, monitoring wells for groundwater. They did sampling and testing of the materials, and they provided us with a pavement design recommendation on what we needed to do to stabilize it.
How about Willow Street? I see that's failing again.
That is a similar situation. It's in the same area. It's at the bottom of the hill. Right now, that's not in our project. We have some plans to do some small repairs in that area for now, but we may be looking at having to do something similar down the road there as well.
Could it be something in the wetland across the street from the church that we could free up and get that moving at all, or?
I mean, we've looked at, everything seems to be clear and flowing in those areas as far as drainage. It just seems to be maybe a change in groundwater conditions in recent years, which happens sometimes. That's the best we have at this point. You know, just to note, we did have conversations with MDC about, you know, their willingness to contribute to the project. That didn't really get us anywhere. They weren't feeling that was their responsibility. Hence the reason for my additional request for $200,000 in capital funds this budget.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Bailey. Further council comments or questions? Again, this is Councilor Timbrow. Thank you.
So I don't really know exactly who this would go to, but I just wanted to understand the need for the $100,000 to go to a consultant or more consulting for the resiliency committee. What's not happening now or additional that we want to happen that would be going to?
We've hired NV5 has been working with us, who you're familiar with, and they've been doing a number of projects. They've helped us apply for a number of grants, and they've also helped us put together the RFP for the energy services company that was just out, and we're going to be reviewing the proposals for shortly. So all of that work has utilized the money that we've had allocated thus far. And so we're just anticipating that once the energy services company gets on board and starts doing other projects and putting things out, that we want a consultant that's going to review on our behalf to make sure that everything is where it should be. This is very technical work that we're talking about. When you talk about renewable energy projects and these types of projects, we don't have anyone on staff with that expertise. So in anticipation that they're going to be coming forward with projects that we are going to want to do, we want to make sure they're reviewed on our behalf, and that's what this funding is for.
So given that it's anticipatory, if we don't end up needing the funds, can they be moved somewhere else?
Absolutely. If we don't use the funds for this work and we get beyond any need, the council can transfer it at the end of the year.
Okay,
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Timbrow. Further council comments or questions? And I will add, this is for discussion purposes, but we can also take action if we want to motion any of these items or other items, but it's for discussion purposes on these funds. Does anybody else have any questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Thanks. Through you to the town engineer. I'm looking at this email that was we just got. Is it under scenario 1 or scenario 2? I guess I'm trying to understand, is it another $600,000 that will complete this sort of entire project where this neighborhood they'll mill and they'll overlay the roads, they'll do the underground, the reconstruction and all that's needed? Or is there more here than that? Is there meaning, is there more to the project than an additional $600,000?
So to clarify, right now we're doing Silo Drive in its entirety, which includes the 2 cul-de-sac streets, Hayrake and Haystack.
Sure.
Full reconstruction, as you mentioned. I have $800,000. I think I really need about $1.2 million based on all the estimates we've gotten in quotes.
Sure.
I've asked for another 200 in this budget. That would give me to about $1 million. Anything that goes over that, we could take out of the fall paving program. So as far as the project that's going on, that would help get that done. The question that I was asked by the manager last week was, if we wanted to finish the entire neighborhood and continue with Straddle Hill and Scotts Way, what would be the additional cost? And that's where these two scenarios come in. So scenario one was, if I did get the 200,000 that I asked for in this fiscal year budget, I would need another 1.3 to do the other section. That really, there's almost split in half. That's the other half. So it's almost the equivalent cost to what I'm doing right now with Silo Drive. So that would be additional funding I need.
In addition to the 200?
Yes.
And is that where under scenario 2, is that where the 1.5 comes from, or is that a whole different?
No, that's just saying if you didn't give me the 200, then I would ask for 1.5 so I can get it rolled into that ask.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I'll speak that I think I would like a little more time. These are some new figures. I'm not ready to take a vote, but if someone wants to vote on some, we certainly can. But I would recommend that we continue to discuss these items. Some of this was a little new to me, some of these figures. Thank you, Derek. So, Mickey, yes. Councilor Derek, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mayor. I just think that we were discussing two different agenda items here, so we just got to make sure we stay on track on what we are discussing, what we are voting on. Silo is under new business, and I think we started with unfinished business, right?
We are on, thank you, Councilor Derek, L1, the Capital Fund Reserve Projects.
And Silo is M2.
So I was asked specifically for, under capital reserve projects, to discuss additional funds beyond what's in M2. And that's what that discussion was about just now. So that is actually under this one. But the other piece of the silo is to award for the funding we already have, the contract to complete the Silo Drive portion of that. Silo, Haystack, and here.
Thank you.
Thank you both. So L1 is the capital fund projects as a whole, and I'm recommending we continue to work on this and table it, but
Yeah, I would just concur. I would need a lot of time to, I probably need to read this 3 or 4 times to even.
Thank you, Councilor Clancy. Okay, if I'm seeing some general consensus on that, if that's the case, I will recommend we move on to the next item agenda, which is new business. Number 1, M1, do I have a motion? Deputy Mayor Forrest.
Move to approve fiscal year 2024-2025 budget appropriation transfer from 420 police to 950 transfers CIP CNEF of $2,178,316.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Town Manager, you might want to explain this.
Well, I'm going to ask our finance director to come up and explain this one, because this one even,
Yeah, this is, I'm glad you're here, Mike, because this one's challenging as well. Budget transfer.
Good evening, Mike O'Neill, Director of Finance. So if you'll recall, this is related to the requirement for the ARPA funds back in December. If you remember, those funds had to be obligated by December 31st of 2024. There was the artificial turf project that had been earmarked for use of those funds, and that decision changed on that, and those funds became available. There were some other funds available that had not been obligated as well. So what we did was and what you sort of would complete with this item tonight is we basically said we will use salaries paid, and we just picked the police department because there's a large line item for salaries there. What we said was we're going to use the ARPA funds to cover $2.1 million worth of salaries in the police department that were expended between this fiscal year, last July, through December 31st. Basically using up all the ARPA money, okay? So our problem with obligating the ARPA funds is solved. That's taken care of. Now, what we have, because we used ARPA to pay for police salaries, is we have $2.1 million available in the police budget in this fiscal year. So what this item would do is transfer $2.1 million of the appropriation in the police department to the appropriation in transfer to other funds, which is one of those other departments we have towards the end of the budget. That's the line where we transfer money to the CNEF fund. It's where we buy equipment, or CIP, where we do our capital projects. So what this item would do is you would be taking that extra, what is now extra money in the police department, that appropriation, and transferring it to the transfer line, sorry, redundant, and then that would allow you to transfer, and that is also accomplished in this item, is transfer the 2.1 million to the CIP and CNEF funds, and makes all of that available for other projects. So what we did was, because we had extra ARPA money at the end of December, use it to pay for police salaries, and then take the extra unexpended money from police salaries, transfer it into CIP and CNEF, and there it's available for us. No time limitations or anything, and we haven't lost the use of the funds.
Thank you, Mike. That was a good explanation. Appreciate it. Does anybody have any questions of Mike or this agenda item? Buddy? Well, I'll call the question then. Is all those in favor signify by saying aye? Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes. Thank you. Unanimously. I believe we're on M2, and do I have a motion? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor. I move to allocate $400,000 and $800,000 from CNEF pavement maintenance and local capital improvement accounts to Tilcon Connecticut, Inc. and General Paving and Construction Corp., respectively, for the reconstruction of Silo Drive, Hayrake Drive, and Haystack Road, and to authorize the town manager to issue purchase orders and to execute any and all related change orders and amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Rhodes. Mr. Town Manager.
I think town engineer just gave a pretty good explanation of this, so if you want to add anything, Derek, but I think should all be clear.
Covered it, yep.
Derek Greger, Town Engineer. Yeah, this is just the request to allocate the funds to Tilcon and General Paving. We're treating this as our spring paving program, essentially. So we reorganized our paving programs going forward to accommodate that, to be able to do this project. And as I stated earlier, we have some money available in capital, but not enough. So I'm going to supplement that with road funds that we normally would have spent on our paving program, and the additional request for funding.
Thank you, Derek. Any questions or comments? Deane, Councilor Zambrello.
Thank you. Could you just explain, we have this supplemental info attachment here. I'm just not understanding what is being covered in this. Do you know the document?
Yeah, so this is just a summary of the state bid. We work off a state bid when we hire our paving contractors typically. This outlines in the company name the 4 bidders. The different types of material is what HMA S0.375 and S0.5 are just different types of mixes. And as I was trying to demonstrate is that Tilcon happened to be the low bidder anyway for the state, who we typically work with. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Zambrello. There's no other questions. Call the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you. We're on to N1. This resolution acceptance of Belcher Road right-of-way. Mr. Town Manager.
And Derek can explain this in more detail, but
Derek, you're working hard tonight.
Well, he's been let off the hook a lot. He hasn't come to a meeting in a while. We want to put him to work.
Fred's going to work with tonight,
right? Yeah.
Take it over.
Okay, so I don't want to overcomplicate this, but many years ago when Belcher Road was built in the mid-1940s, the town, there was a section of right-of-way down that extended Belcher Road down to Silas Deane Highway at the corner of Somerset. That, as it turns out, was really never accepted by the town back then. However, in the mid-90s, the town abandoned that right-of-way So with that, the intent in 1990s, when it was abandoned, was that it was going to be split into 4 parcels, and they were going to, generally when a right-of-way is abandoned, portions of that right-of-way go to the adjacent parcels, and that was always the intent from 30 years ago. One of those 4 parcels was really just extending the right-of-way along Belcher Road about another 85 feet, because right now it stops short of where the road technically ends, so we do have some utilities, we have some guide rail, have some road pavement that is technically outside of our current right-of-way. So all this is doing is adding a 0.1 acre piece to the end of the right-of-way, so we're officially covered with what the town's responsibility is. The rest of the land there, one piece of it goes to the town property that's already there, and a couple of them go to the private residences that are next to it.
Thank you, Derek. Anybody have any questions or comments on this? No action required on this. If there's not, we'll go to the next agenda item. Okay, thank you, Derek. So then to the resolution to name a T-ball field on Broad Street Green in the honor of Judy and Richard Keene. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, this is for introduction only. The public hearing at the next meeting, but so it was, proposal was made, for those of you that aren't aware, we, our physical services staff redid the T-ball field that is on Broad Street Green. Did a great job with it. It's going to be used for the first time in a while by the Little League this season. So there was the suggestion to name it in honor of Judy and Richard Keene. They were heavily involved in youth sports, and as you know, since Richard's death in 9/11, I think Judy's done a lot of work with the Keene Foundation in his honor for our youth in town. So in order to do that, past practice is a resolution by the council to name anything here in town after an individual. So that's what this is for. So happy. Again, this is for public hearing. The next meeting is just for introduction.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Any questions or comments? Let me just add a little bit to this. I think you all know the work that Judy and her late husband have done in town, and certainly the Cove Carnival and the Keen on Kids and the 5 musicals, but they were very active in youth sports, including Little League and soccer. And we have the ability as a council to name certain things, and I call Judy the fairy godmother of Wethersfield for all the things that she does for our children. But any naming that we do, if we want to do one, we have to pass it as a resolution of council. So it's just for discussion tonight, but I'm certainly going to be in support of this when it comes up for a vote. Any questions or comments before we move on to the next?
I would just add,
Councilor Clancy.
I can't think of anybody it would be more appropriate to name it after. I mean, it's virtually in her front yard, which is where, when Mr. Keene passed away, or actually when we thought he was missing during 9/11, that's where the vigil was held. I mean, there are thousands of people with candles out there where the field is now. I mean, and the motto of the Keene Foundation, I think, is that everybody plays, something like everybody plays, which is so appropriate for T-ball.
Thank you. Well, I hope we'll have the ceremony there, and maybe everyone can play a little T-ball, and we'll see how everyone hits. But
I don't know how to play T-ball, but
thank you, Councilor Clancy. Any other questions or comments? Again, it's just for discussion only tonight.
And do we have to have a public hearing on it? And for any time we come up with a resolution, is that how?
For any
naming,
per your charter,
Yeah,
any
tell me.
resolution or ordinance requires a public hearing. So we have to introduce it at one meeting and then have a public hearing at the next.
Has to be through
And we look back at previous examples, and the council passed resolutions for naming, so we wanted to just follow the standard. There's nothing really that says you have to do that, but when it doesn't say it specifically, we always look at past practice for something like this, so that's why we're proposing this.
I'd be willing to vote on that right
Me too.
now. So, okay.
Thank you, Councilor
Thank you.
Carbone. If there's no other questions or comments, we'll move on to M3. This is about the traffic enforcement and the speed cameras and red light cameras that we passed, I believe it was in March of last year. Mr. Town Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. So as the council is aware, March of last year, this body passed an ordinance to basically allow the town to install both speed and stoplight cameras at intersections. And the state DOT has a very detailed criteria that has to be followed in order to do that, and that includes developing a plan with that's has a lot of data to it as to where we feel these are required. We worked with town staff, both the police department and engineering, to put together the data that's required for this plan. We also were Matt Liaison. Matt, give me his last name. I'm not pronouncing it right. Liaison. Matt Liaison, up in Capital and Strategic Projects Office with Vlada, has been working on the actual plan. There's only been one plan that's been approved by DOT to date, and that's in Washington, Connecticut. And so we modeled that. We submitted it to DOT. It required that this body holds a public hearing, and which we felt like we did with the ordinance, but they said, no, we need another public hearing for the plan itself. So that's what this is for. So the plan is available online if anybody would like to see it. It identifies all the intersections that we're proposing these. Predominantly, it's Silas, Deane, and the Berlin Turnpike, as one might expect. I believe there's also Wells Road. But we just need to have a public hearing, get any public comment on it, and with that, we can submit it back to DOT for approval. We expect the turnaround time to be only a few weeks once we have met all their requirements. And once that's completed, we'll be able to go out to bid.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Questions or comments on this item? Mr. Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor. To you, Mr. Town Manager. I thought I was noticing, and I might have been a little bit confused between the speed cameras and the red light cameras. Obviously, red light cameras would be at red lights. I gotcha. But the speed cameras, it would seem, but maybe I'm wrong by some of the data, that you'd speed in between the lights, not like at the light area. Or if you're, of course, we all know, if you're on 515 and you're going under Ridge Road, it would be there. It wouldn't be at the light before. That's where everyone takes off. So is there consideration for are the speed cameras being done at the same place as the light cameras because it's the same location? Is my assumption just not accurate to the data?
Generally, it's co-located, and a lot of times you find excessive speeding at the light location because people are trying to beat the light. And when they don't quite beat it, they blow through it. And so you usually get a combination, and even when they do beat it, if they're speeding, then we'd get them one way or the other. But yeah, it's basically those locations to stop people from doing that, trying to speed up to beat the light, because that's where we're finding a lot of the accidents are occurring, is people think they can beat the light, or they or they're close enough, but to do that they speed through the light. So that's why and I think from an infrastructure standpoint, it just makes a lot of sense. I think we'll catch plenty of speeders at the locations we've selected based upon the data that we've provided.
You could also see that at a place like that, if you were speeding, it might lead to a much more serious accident.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, and that was a big requirement. We have to not just show traffic tickets, but we had to show accidents at the areas and the infractions. So if you didn't check all the boxes, they won't allow us to put them at the locations.
Right. So I might add, though, that although that all sounds very reasonable, the 515 corridor for years. And not only that, but also the noise, and I understand the noise radars are a different animal, but a lot of the noise comes from the speeding, right, and the loud engines, the rest of it. A lot of people in the north end of town consistently throughout all those neighborhoods, that 515 corridor has been on everybody's mind for many decades. So if it's possible to ensure that, at least from a speeding standpoint, that is significantly looked at and a high option for one of these, even though, if we have 6 and 5 are at the at a red light, but there was one extra, I would ask that you would consider that as something that the public has been mentioned for a really long time. Sure. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Further questions or comments? Councilor Carbone.
2 locations you're talking about, right? One on 4. Oh, I thought it was 2 locations. I'm sorry.
Multiple.
Yeah, there are multiple in the plan itself, yeah.
Okay. And then, we can talk about it further, but isn't it like X amount of dollars per camera, not per location, and then we pay it off through fines?
So we've had a couple of the different contractors come in and give us a presentation. We do not have any pricing at this point, so we'd have to wait to go out to RFP and give any kind of realistic pricing on this. But the general assumption is that we would pay through the fines.
So we'll have that information before you bid on it. I mean, vote on it, correct?
No, well, what we're asking you to do is vote on the plan, approval of the plan. Then it goes to DOT for approval. Once they approve it, we go out to bid, RFP. Then we bring it back to you all to approve the actual contract. And at that point, we'll have all those answers for you before you actually vote on the
But
contract.
not tonight. Tonight is
No,
discussion.
I know.
with public.
I just jumped in because when he said
Yeah, no, it's
6
good.
cameras,
This is
I thought we were doing
important.
2
You know what?
locations.
Yep.
Thank you, Councilor Carbone. Any other comments? Because I'm going to make a comment on this too. So we passed this last March, and this is a really important initiative. All councilors agreed, as most of our votes are unanimous, which is great. And this is really important. We had 3 traffic fatalities in 2024 last year on the Silas Deane Highway. People, not just in Wethersfield, not just in Connecticut, all over the country, are driving more and more recklessly. And we have to slow down the traffic. It's literally a matter of life and death. I shared the story last year that we went to visit our oldest daughter in Washington, D.C., and they already have the camera system, and we got in the mail $100 ticket. You can't protest it. It's all on capture video. We just paid it right away. But these cameras, they've been in Europe for a long time. They're catching on all over the state. So this is a public address announcement. When we put this in, many of us are going to get caught speeding or running red lights. We want people to drive safer. I think the way it's set up, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Town Manager, if you go above 10 miles above the speed limit, so if it's 35 and you're going 40, you're not going to get a ticket. But if you're going above 45, you will get a ticket. And that's what we're trying to enforce. I'm correct about that. Correct. And then there are fines that are prescribed by the state. I think it's $75, but it's in that
It's 50, and then I think it goes up to 70.
So hopefully later this year, we will have this system in Wethersfield, hopefully in 2025. If there's no other question.
That's one question.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Councilor Zambrello,
Thank you. And sorry, I was out of the room for a minute, so sorry if this was answered already.
it's on your street. We voted. That's just a joke, everybody. No.
Well,
Put
it'd
on
be
her
on his
street,
street
put it on
too.
my
Oh,
street.
that's right, you're on the same street. Councilor Zambrello.
If I'm remembering correctly, is there a warning period, or was there, I think from our first discussion, there was like a period of time where people just get warnings, or maybe they get a warning for the first ticket before it starts?
Yeah, I think we can kind of dictate that, but I think there is a requirement that there has to be a period. It's not a long period, and they also have to be, also have to have signs up before each one on the highway, and we also have to register all the cameras with Google Maps and Waze and all those different devices that people use to warn them. But even with all those things, we're hearing that people still do what they do. So, yeah.
Do what we can to not surprise people as much as possible.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Councilor Zambrello. Councilor Kennedy, did you have a question?
I just want to say, because you had said there was
Pull your mic.
I'm sorry. Because you had said there was no appeal in the situation in DC. Ours will have an appeal because, I mean, there are some reasons that even if there is a picture of your car speeding, or the camera believes that to be the case, that there could be some defenses to that. And that will be the case with our ordinance, correct?
I'd have to look specifically at the state.
It was when we read it a year ago. It hasn't changed.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it again, but yeah, nothing has changed.
We haven't taken it out.
Correct. We have not taken it out.
Smiling into the camera, so he didn't feel it was obligated to.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Councilor Clancy. Any further discussion? This is, again, only for discussion tonight. Good. We're moving on to the next item, which is public comment. And anybody who wishes to speak, you have 5 minutes. Please state your name and address. Is there any further public comment tonight? Mr. Young.
Yeah, it's quick.
Sorry. Oh, God.
Robert Young, 20 Copper Mill Road. The discussion regarding the budget coming up doesn't sound good. You know, we have the Federal Reserve Bank fighting to keep interest rates and keep inflation down 2%. And towns keep going way up and beyond what that is. And I would think that you have a responsibility to come in at 2% or lower, not 2.2% or 2.1%. I think you should work very hard to get that to that 2% level in order to bring the rest of us in equilibrium. You know, because your increases are so much higher, we end up paying higher at the store and wherever else we have to go and spend money. It's terrible. And if you come down, everything will come down. I mean, not just Wethersfield, the whole country's got to come down in spending increases. Otherwise, we're going to continue having all this craziness with high prices. And it's blamed right here. I mean, look at the high prices you initiate. Look at this tennis court. There were items on there you should have reduced, but that's because your system in the town of Wethersfield mimics the state of Connecticut using the bid system. You should have a person here that is qualified that can negotiate contracts, every one of them. Instead, it's you accept whatever the contractor wants and you say, well, who is the lowest one, so we'll take him. But look at that billing from the company that's working on the tennis court. They included surcharge for gasoline. I mean, there's no reason under the stars that anybody should accept that, and your purchasing person or whoever approved it and sent it on up to be approved should have caught that and taken it out. There's no reason for it, and it goes on, I'm sure, with your 1.6 million that you have tonight that you spoke about for the air handling system of just going over at the school. I'm sure that there was a bigger number there than the 2,500 that the tennis company indicated for their deal, because that was such a small amount. But I think we need to go out and forget this idea that we're a municipality and become a business and find ways of cutting these costs down. State of Connecticut, I'd ignore them. Ignore them totally. Maybe you could teach them something, because they obviously have missed the boat as well, using the bid system. You know, I was at a meeting just recently. You're talking about more money. Talking about, someone had mentioned that in the town of Wethersfield, we have rotten drainage pipes under our roads. They've been under there for 50 years. They must be these galvanized pipings, whether it's this big or 6 or 8 feet in diameter. I don't honestly know where they are, what sizes they are, but one of the officials of the town of Wethersfield made that statement that we have 50 years worth of piping out there that needs to be replaced. And how can we replace it without these exorbitant increases? And you got to go back to everything you buy and find ways of reducing those costs. Forget the bid system. The bid system is municipality, which is totally wrong. You got to go business. If a business looked at any of these contracts, they'd be slashing them. But not the town of Wethersfield or many towns, I'm sure, across Connecticut. They accept it all, and the citizens pay for it in more than cash to the tax. They pay in other ways as well. Tonight you're talking about these speed cameras. Boy, oh boy, you're really going to rake in the money now. And you'll probably catch a lot of old people who just seem to be going over the limit a little bit. But in the meantime, we have these incredible problems.
Thank you, Mr. Young.
Good luck with your tennis court.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Is there further public comment tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Barbara Mead, 54 Stillman Walk. Two questions. The fines that are going to be paid for these speeding, do those go to the state or to Weathersfield?
So we don't address right away. We finish your comments. We actually have a new section, council comments right after this, where we can address your questions. We don't typically get into back and forth. So we have that as your first question, and you just keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my second question is, Beaver Brook, is Weathersfield or the state responsible for keeping that clean?
Is that, you still have, you have up to 5 minutes. Is that all you?
That's all.
Okay, great. We'll address those. Thank you. Any further, thank you. Any further public comment? Seeing none, we will go to councilor comments. First time. Does anybody have any councilor comments? And we will address those public comments. Councilor.
Which side of Beaver Brook? Like which end?
Or not street, Ms. Cross.
Huh?
Not street.
North of Knott?
Not Crossing Street, Beaver Brook.
Yeah.
And railroad crossing, and the water comes bubbling up over there sometimes.
Well, the problem is the pipe goes underneath Knott Street, and there's literally a sewer pipe that goes right through our concrete pipe. And the brush and everything gathers up there once or twice a year. And if I notice it, I tell the highway supervisor to go down there and they gotta fork it out. Because, I mean, obviously the sewer pipe came after the pipe, but it literally goes right through the middle of it. So it just catches all the debris, which makes the north side flood. Yes, and the south side goes down to nothing. Yes, that's what happens there. I'll go take a look at it tomorrow.
Well, I'm going to ask the town manager to address your two questions, and if maybe we'll have the answers, and if not, we'll be able to get back to you.
Just in terms of the, where the money goes for the tickets, first of all, in this case with the cameras, it comes back to the town, and that'll help pay for the cameras and pay for other things, but it has to be related to safety. We can't use it for anything. Derek, I don't know if you want to add anything, but my understanding is Beaver Brook, depending on where you're at in that specific area, there's a lot of DOT and railroad right-of-way through there that is the problem along the brook, and it varies the section who's responsible for it. We've been in close contact with those parties. We've got several sections cleared out because Councilman Bailey's correct. All the brush comes down and fills up the pipe, especially in that area. But a lot of it is they frequently do trimming along it to keep it clear for the railroad tracks, and they just drop it in place. And that way the next storm comes through and it pushes it down. We've been working with them to not do that. And so we've had several meetings in the last couple of years, I know, on that specific topic. And I think we've gotten a long way with addressing a lot of it, but we still have more work to do. But it varies in terms of who's directly responsible. Once it gets to the roads, we have to deal with it. So.
The railroad is on this side. I live on Stillman Walk.
Yeah.
The railroad's here, Stillman Walk is here, and Beaver Brook is here.
But water flows on either side, but I don't know, Derek, if you want to address specifically the area, but.
I mean, generally, the party responsible for maintaining the brook is whatever property it's on. So if it's private property, it's private owners. Along Beaver Brook, the town owns some property, the state owns some property. There are multiple private property owners. So in that particular area, I haven't been out there. All I can say that I'm familiar with, there are some culverts near the Stillman Walk that are creating a hydraulic problem that we may look at removing to help address that. It means it's pushing up the water surface. And there might be an opportunity, that's a future project we're considering right now, to help address some of that in the future as these storms continue to increase in frequency.
And I was also thinking about
This isn't meant to be a back and forth, sorry, but if you have specifics, we can certainly connect you with,
with Derek
engineering.
And engineering,
Yeah.
and maybe you could take 2 minutes after the meeting.
Yeah.
Does anybody have any further council
Thanks, Derek.
comments? Thanks, Derek. If not, I will take a motion to go. We actually have executive session tonight, so we have only one item, councilors, but take a motion to adjourn to executive session.
I move to go into executive session.
And second by Councilor Rhodes. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, everybody. Derek, you have a minute to just, yeah, thank you.